All right, we are live for the Thursday edition of the morning check-in, and running well behind. But then again, you can see why I'm kind of lagging today. But nevertheless, I'm here, looking forward to connecting. Just always trying to switch up things on my end here to make sure everything is fun as well as entertaining and engaging. So hope everyone is doing well. Appreciate your patience for those who hung around, and then for those who might catch the replay, definitely going to be some good subjects. So share your thoughts, ideas, and suggestions in the comments or in the chat if you're here live with us. So before I move forward, because I'm always setting things up last minute, I want to make sure that everybody can hear me. So if you are plugged in right now, let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me so that I know that I'm not just talking to myself and we can keep moving forward. So give me a thumbs up in the chat. And if we have any new viewers, as always, want to welcome you to the morning check-in. Typically starts at 10, but then again, as I mentioned, I do the best I can when I can, how I can. So, but always looking forward to connecting in, man. And so it's been 2 months, 3 months since I've done a stand-up presentation or talk-in or check-in. So got to get back into the swing of things. But I figure if I stand up, I got more energy about myself. So definitely looking forward to doing that. And I don't want to move forward until I get some thumbs up in the chat to make sure everybody can hear me. So if you are plugged in, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button or give me a shout out. Let me know where you're watching from. And I would definitely love to acknowledge your presence and thank you for being a part of the community. But a couple of interesting things I want to touch on. And the most important one happens to be surrounding the dollar. And I don't think it's coincidental that we have the GOP looking to honor former president as a way of, I guess, keeping in good tabs with him, perhaps kissing a little butt. And so I see some thumbs up there. Okay, appreciate you. So you guys can hear me. Good deal. So we all know that inflation or the expansion of the monetary base has been a problem forever because it's built into the system. And I just find it very hard to believe that, the Republicans and the Democrats don't know what lies ahead because of the condition of our country and the global economy for that matter. And so inflation is built into the cake. And so by a politician coming out talking about adding an additional bill with $400 more than what our current highest bill is, to me, it hints at future expectations of greater inflation, as well as is being meant to give people a way of, I guess, holding more purchasing power or having more an initial purchasing power. Because even if they came out with that $500 bill, it would be eroded as well. So I'm going to share my thoughts, read through some headlines. And is this type of stuff a part of what I guess former President Trump wants to own? And it's called MAGAnomics. So once again, I don't mean to be critical, but I have to be real. And because I don't believe in either side of the aisle helping us at this current moment, it's up to you. You know that. And for those who might be new to the community, you may not know yet, but you're going to find out. And so definitely looking forward to diving into that. So as always, get into some good news, scan the markets real quick, see what's happening. And then pretty much I only got one subject matter, which happens to be around this $500 bill that they're talking about reinstating and some of the narratives around that. And then just share with you some visual aids, which most of you can see right here, starting with the very top one, and how no matter what, every president has chipped in on the erosion of purchasing power. So literally, it's all about purchasing power. That is what matters most at this current moment. So if you're tuned in, you know that. But it's about the people who are not plugged in that I'm concerned with, which keeps me showing up every day. Okay, enough rant. All right, welcome everybody. Appreciate you, man, for blessing with your time and your presence. We have was that MJQ, if I'm not saying that incorrectly. Got to make my screen wider. It says, hi, Mike, Las Vegas. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for checking in. We got a couple of thumbs up here. Appreciate you guys, man, for being patient with me, even if you're checking in late. But I'll make it worth your time, I promise. And so before I move forward, I want to make sure I give everybody a chance. If you have not, one of the community members emailed me in reference to him not being notified. And so the recommendation that he put out there was, Mike, he's like, have the subscribers unsubscribe deliberately and then resubscribe. And that's a way of like re-notifying the algorithms or re-notifying YouTube that you are an active member, meaning that you do want to hear from the channel when we post stuff. And so that's just a way, I guess, of refreshing the subscription side of things. So if you're watching this, hit the unsubscribe button, and then hit it again. So that means you're now a new subscriber, and then also hit that bell notification, and then select whichever category of alerts you want to receive, whether it's all, some, or none. But at least you'll be notified. So if you're watching this now or replay, unsubscribe and subscribe again, and we'll see if that helps. And so it'd be great if more people were notified. But once again, I can hold my breath. So if you're on Rumble as well, make sure you hit that check mark so you can plug in with me there as well. So, okay, let's dive right into it, man. I don't want to be long. I don't want to keep you long. I know I'm running behind. So we're going to make this work. Okay, so as always, getting some good news. So yesterday's devotional was powerful, and it was about the blessing. And so it's not what I have now, but I didn't want to do June 19th and June 20th devotionals, but they're both just something that really hit home with me. And so I'll just paraphrase yesterday. And I even made a song about it. So for those who are plugged in on Telegram, whenever I'm inspired, I usually take some scripture utilizing AI services, and I turn it into a song that I play in the car and I jam out to. So it's just a way of taking the word and put it in my heart, literally, because I'm meditating on it through song and dance. So, let me know in the chat if with a thumbs up, and put the word music, and I'll try to play it yesterday's mix. And so it was something that, people rock out with. So join the Telegram group and you'll be able to hear those when I put them out there. So just another way of taking advantage of technology with the word of God itself. But anyway, so yesterday's word was about the blessing, and it was Psalms 1. And it started off with, blessed is a man who, blessed is a man who blessed is a man who loves the Lord. Okay, let me see. Never mind. I'm not going to butcher it because it's not coming to me real quick. But since I'm on here and I'm running behind, bear with me, people, because I want to get this word out. So let me actually just grab the word from yesterday. And I'll just briefly mention, briefly reference the scripture because I found it to be quite enjoyable. Let me see here. Yeah, buddy. Appreciate you guys, man. It's going to be a good day no matter what. And so the whole point in this little rant to start off was, outside of the things that we're I guess forced to pay attention to because it impacts us directly, let's not forget that the blessing of the Lord is also working on our behalf for my believers out there. And if you are a believer, then you have the right to expect God to come through on your behalf, is what it's all about. So real quick here, let me share with you yesterday's devotional. And so it says, involving God. I'm just going to literally read the psalm itself, but it did a lot to me because it came on my mind right in time. But it says, blessed is the one, and then there's two sentences in between, whose delight is in the law of the Lord and who meditates on his law day and night. And just the word blessed, like that word, when I heard it, is like it hit me because I needed it. It says, blessed is the one who delights in the law of the Lord and who meditates on it day and night. So from there, I created that song, and it's kind of fire. But just the word blessed. It's one thing, as I talk about these subject matters, to really focus on things in the natural and how they impact us, to where it seems like, man, we're falling under the curse, which is poverty, death, debt, destruction, everything else, which is the system structure because Satan rules it. So anyway, and so as a believer in this life right now with Christ inside of me, I should expect the blessing to operate regardless of the season, regardless of the economy, regardless of living in or going through a reset or recession or whatever. So change your focus, increase your expectations, and I believe God will show up big time for you. Okay, so that's just a little bit of something from yesterday. Yeah, man. Jimmy Hat says, good morning, sir. Get out and do some camping this summer, Mike. Yeah, I haven't camped in a long time, buddy. And Michigan has some very beautiful scenery, especially up north. So that's a good recommendation. Wifey don't like camping that much, though. So typically we do some trips or something. But okay, I'm 10 minutes in and I ain't got to the nitty gritty. Okay, forgive me. But I'm going to use that little bit of a reminder, refresher, referencing Psalms 1 as the devotional for the day. So I'll spare you guys Psalm 20. But okay. All right, so let me just do my typical routine before I move forward. Make sure everybody who might be new might be old. So what I've tried to do is simplify things and make sure people always have a way of realizing the resources they have available to them when they come to the channel. Or if you're attorney, never mind, because we're all in the same boat. So right here, I put all the things that's offered in the description below. So from the first step of testing your IQ to getting educated with this monetary cheat sheet, which has everything you need to know about your currency, all the way to the opportunity of being able to look ahead in trends and forecasts is offered here as well through the reports. And then for those who have joined thus far, the silver team, that's going to be something big because that's a way of being proactive and actually just, setting something up and not worrying about it and allowing your silver to come to you according to how much you want a dollar cost average in. Great way of doing it. And then here, Colonials Metals Group. For those who are you've gone through all these processes, the educational journey, you're taking action by doing something for yourself in your hands. Now you want to show up everything that you've worked hard for, which is things that are in stock market at all-time highs and everything else. It's bound to have some issues in the future. So not my financial advice, just to me, I consider this monetary common sense. It's not common anymore. Okay, real quick. So let me just dive in, man. So it's one thing like when I'm standing up, I got more energy. My juices is flowing. All right, but real quick, same thing I just mentioned. I want to point out everything for everybody. It's my responsibility to make sure I do my best to educate people as all I can. So this is what I'm talking about here. For those who might be new, if you want to take 10 simple questions, make a world of difference. And what it does is just allows you to recognize your knowledge gaps. And so here, as you guys can see here, rethinkingthedollar.com/quiz, links in the description. Go test yourself, see where you stand. All right, sweet and simple. And then also, as I mentioned, the silver team, like literally having the opportunity to get your weight up automated, coming to your doorsteps, great opportunity. And on top of that, you're being a blessing to yourself and you can help others by doing so. So links in the description if you guys want to partake in this with me. Looking to reach 1,000 households because I know everybody's watching. You have your stack. But what about your family and friends that know what's going on, but they don't know how to go about doing it? This is a way that you can help them directly so you can make a difference. Okay. And then also, I want to make sure everybody's aware of the opportunity with Colonials Metals Group. Here's the form. Fill out this form, submit it. You'll be contacted by one of their team members, and they can walk you through the process and to see if it's something that's worth your while, because everybody may not fit for these type of products here. But it's a self-directed IRA where you can actually get physical possession of your weight and hold it yourself. You can have it held at a depository or you can hold it yourself. And so if you guys are interested, feel free to fill out the link or give them a call. You guys can stay plugged in with them and just find out, get as much information as you can. So here's the information here, the number on the screen, you guys. If you want it, go get it. That's all I can say. If you want it, go get it. Okay, so let's not waste any more time, man. Let's jump right in real quick. We'll look at a little price action. We'll see what's going on in the markets right now. Let me zoom in so I can see what I see. So you can see what I see when I see. That's too zoomed in. That's too zoomed in. Give me a second here. So it's different not having an actual touch screen. But as you can see here, let me move myself out the way. For those who can't see, we have gold right now in the green. We have silver in the green. We got platinum in the green. We got palladium in the green. We got rhodium in the green. So everything is going well. And, my favorite of all, I'm getting more excited than ever with silver because silver literally is the last of the last that will break the baker's back. As long as they continue to fight, the greater the pressure on them. So here we have now, we're above that $30 mark this morning. And so just to look at this a little further, let me minimize myself. Just to look at this type of activity thus far. Let me put myself over here. Just looking at this activity. So as of now, the market's open and there's a lot, look at all this volume here. All this volume. And it's nothing but paper down here. This is nothing but paper movement down here in this green and red. And so literally 8:20, 8:30, it was $30.39. The market's open over here in the Eastern Hemisphere. And like always, they dumped all this paper on the markets. But for some reason, it got to $30.07, but it didn't stay down. It resurrected. And so now we're at 30.63, 30.57. And it's still early. But once again, it's interesting news. All right, let's take a look at the speculative space. And so as I put that video out, let me know your thoughts on that video that I did. It was yesterday about the liquidity that's about to be pumped into the markets as a way of propping up and prolonging the dollar. And so, as of right now, Bitcoin is 64,000. And with all this euphoria, all this ETF product purchasing, and you have the ETPs in Europe. Bitcoin, for some reason, they found a way to make sure the price don't take off. So it's a lot of backdoor dealing, under the table trading and things like that, to where, yeah, they're trying to position themselves before they let this thing rip, because they know the floodgates is about to open. Yeah, buddy. So you want to be on the right side of history. Okay, real quick. Legacy markets, can't not look at them. Here's the S&P 500 as of right now, and it's a lot of red on the screen. A lot of red. Looks like healthcare is having a bank. The banks ain't doing that good this morning, and looks like insurance is up. And so here's all the sectors here. Financials overall is not doing too well, and of course there's the bank in Japan. I see people talking about that. The globally systemic important banks are all right now in the same boat. Literally, interest rates is causing problems. Banks are taking losses. The losses are piling up to the globally systemic important banks because they have the derivatives. And as the derivative chain becomes a problem, yeah, nothing you can do there. So the liquidity will be needed to prop them boys up. And it's going to be a lot of casualties in between all that time frame. Okay, so let's get into the subject matter of the hour, man. Here's a headline that caught my attention. And this subject matter, a couple days old, but then again, not sure if everybody has, come across it yet. But Republicans push multiple bills to honor Donald Trump. And so everybody who's been around the channel know that I'm you have to have an antagonist. You have to have someone that is willing to go against the grain. Everybody can't, follow the herd. You got to have one person that's willing to just, combat the main narratives. And even though his former presidency was different and it gave the appearance that everything was hunky-dory, he did do some things to disrupt what appeared to be the establishments, the deep state, whatever you want, whatever he labeled them as, their agenda. Okay. But it was all undone when the next president came in. And so now his majority of his foundation is picking up where he left off at. And then he's even gone even crazier with some of his cause and desires to basically just, I don't know, I can't even describe it. I'm just lost for words. But he's coming out here giving his entire blueprint as to what he will do when he's in office. And I just don't believe that there will be a normal election this coming November. Something between now and then may happen. Or once again, the Dominion software system is still operational and they're having glitches according to what they want to see outcome wise. If you don't believe me, just check out what happened in Puerto Rico a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think. So a glitch, last minute issues. So yeah, nothing's changed. And if he feel he got robbed the first time, like, why would you think something's changed that allow you to win the second time? But I digress on that one. But my whole point is, we have the Republican side of things right now because he was a clear front runner well before his last presidency ended, and they're kissing up to him, trying to get on his good side for whatever they want to. But all these bills, and the most important bill that bothers me the most is the fact that they're talking about adding a $500 bill, and so we haven't had a denomination higher than $100 since the 50s, I think, when they took the bill with McKinley out of office. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I'm like, okay, is that a forewarning of inflation that's coming? Or is that just a way of like, we'll do a commemorative note and it'll be a collector's item similar to how Trump came out with his shoes. Trump dropped, some NFTs. So is this hype? Or just a warning is what I'm trying to get out there, is what I'm saying, basically, in such a nice way. And so when I see headlines, GOP to honor Trump, he ain't won nothing yet. So that's something to be a concern. And another issue is we are 5 months from the election, and he hasn't announced his VP because he's waiting, or it's a strategy. Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop because I know I got a lot of people out here who believe they're MAGA supporters, whatever. But if he's right now running on Bidenomics having failed because it was literally just more monetary easing, more bills. So I actually looked up. And so right now I'm everywhere. But again, like as these thoughts come, I got to run with them. So I looked up total amount of proposed currency created on top of the two acts that were passed, one under Trump's administration, one under Biden's administration. And so total, it was $10 trillion in 4 years. And so Bidenomics was an after effect or aftershock to what was brought into existence under Trump's administration. And so if Trump signed the CARES Act, which was 2.9 trillion, I think 2.2, 2.9, 2 some trillion, like that, bam, out of nowhere. Country needed, economy needed. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay. And then Trump leaves office. Then the next year, we got the, what is it? The something act. I forgot the name of, man, whatever. You guys know, I'm sure in the chat, the Build Back America Act or some type of act Trump Biden signed. Give me a second here. I get like now. Okay, but anyway, so that bill was like 1.9 trillion. And then there was other little subsidies the government gave to PPP and the stimulus check program. So all these things, it equated to a proposal. They proposed 10 trillion, 5.2 something came into existence with the other little half, still something that they can try to squeeze out if they wanted to. But my point is, if Bidenomics was an after effect of that first signature, which was Trump's, that it's kicked off its transitory narrative of transitory inflation, now that Biden has been exposed even more so, we have Trump talking about MAGAnomics. Like MAGAnomics, like what is MAGAnomics? Like it's going to be tax cuts for the rich first and everybody else in between, but tax cuts only temporarily delay the inevitable because it puts out those savings in money printing in the future. So long story short, they know what's going down. They know it's about to hit. The only thing they can do is continue to expand the monetary base. So literally, it's about to get crazy. But before I move forward in reading a little bit of this article here, let me just share with you what I'm referring to. So if Bidenomics was a problem, but it started off under 45s with his signature to kick off this stimulating the economy narrative, how problematic will MAGAnomics be?
We will throw out Bidenomics and replace it with MAGAnomics. MAGAnomics.
So you got all people behind cheering about MAGAnomics. Little do they know, any type of nomics.
And it was just announced, you probably heard it, just came as I'm walking up, I say, let me say that. I'm walking up here. It was just announced that the budget deficit is now expected to be almost $2 trillion in 2024. Think of it, $2 trillion.
Budget deficit.
Let's see, 2024, that might not be so good because I take over. They're going to say I have a $2 trillion deficit. I say I didn't do anything, but we'll get it down. $400 billion more than estimated just a few months ago because he's throwing money out the window on the Green New scam and other things. Because day one of
So my point is, he's inheriting something that was started when he left office, and it's compounded because that's a narrative. And so whether he's in office or not in office, MAGAnomics, anything with nomics at the end, literally just means more monetary expenditures. And so for those who, I'm just not what I intended on talking about today, but just to show you what, trillions of trillions look like. And this big red hump to my left over here is what kicked it off. And Biden has been playing into it ever since. So don't believe the hype. It's on you. If you don't protect yourself, nobody else will. Okay. So because they know, I believe what's coming, $2 trillion deficit expected end of this year, whatever. Okay. What does that mean for us? That means less purchasing power for us. That means in time, we can expect real world assets, i.e. gold, as with purchasing power is lost in the dollar, gold only goes up eventually, ultimately, because that's the safe haven. So insurance on the fiat is imperative. Okay. Now, real quick here, let me stop ranting a little bit and just get to the nitty gritty here. So this $500 bill. So why are they trying to honor him? And he hasn't won yet. We'll find out. But it has a lot to do with MAGAnomics and tax cuts and everything else. But Real quick here, it says House Republicans has introduced several pieces of legislation in recent weeks that aim to honor Donald Trump. Says the latest bill from Representative Greg Stuber from Florida called for the areas of water surrounding the U.S. to be called U.S. Exclusive Economic Zone, to be renamed to Donald John Trump Exclusive Economic Zone of the United States. So once again, these are all legislation that'll not pass, but it's like, why has political policy become so centered around, in the Republican case, supporting, promoting, and bigging up Trump, and then on the Democratic side, it's about, it's labeled as some type of heal the world, free Ukraine act or something like that, because it's painted as being beneficial. But any one of these acts, pieces of legislation, ultimately equates more spending. Okay, so just things that just bother me this morning. If passed, a name change would mandate the waters be referred to by the former president's in-laws and maps and documents and records. And so they're going to change that. It says in the latest signal, continuing influence and support for Trump has within the GOP. Several members of the Congress have recently taken steps to honor the former president with bills or resolutions. These include attempts to rename an airport and to feature a portrait of the president on the $500 bill. $500 bill. House Republicans proposes to put President Trump on the $500 bill. And so you got the people who are probably behind him, cheering him on, who are buying into the MAGAnomics narrative of thinking that anything with nomics and MAGA equals more for my pockets. In the end, clearly deceived, because whatever it is equates to more spending. So as the cost of living goes up, I can see them not in the paper form, but I think they want this to continue on so that it makes it easier to remove the paper, i.e. with the introduction of the CBDC, which Trump said he's not going to allow. But once again, this is just my thoughts. I would imagine, had he known, or if he did know, we don't know, but it's good to say he wouldn't have allowed $2 trillion plus dollars under his watch because of a health situation. So whether or not that was intentional or not, I'll let you guys do all the figuring out. But my point is, when there is another event, because there will be, whether it's commercial real estate led, derivatives, G-SIB led, commercial banks led, whatever, there will be another event. And because I believe the CBD framework is already laid out through the Fed Wire and Fed Now, we talked about that in the past. All it takes is the flipping on of a switch, the rolling out of some apps, cutting on some networks and some servers, interlinking the central bank with the commercial banks, and voila, everybody can be recapitalized in the form of having something in another form that you can access that's more permissionless, permissioned and everything like that. Okay, so it's my opinion that no matter what, he's going to have an event. Trump or Biden's going to have an event. It's coming. I just showed you how and why it has to come. And so the paper won't come, but it's a good idea. But then again, if he gets in office, perhaps the GOP might be able to push it, and they may actually issue those notes in commemorative form. So I don't think they'll actually be in something that people would want to hold. But then again, because people don't really know what's going on, maybe they will. Okay, so real quick here, let's get in this last article here. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this matter. And if they do somehow, some way come out with commemorative notes, would you actually purchase one as a piece of history, or would you turn the other cheek and not even think about it? And so I have a suggestion or a solution that would be worthwhile for the GOP to put forth, which could be a blessing to the citizens of this country. How about, instead of putting it on a $500 bill, you do a commemorative or a special minted American silver eagle, where the eagle on the front and Trump's face on the back. And then as the GOP leaders, you say it'd be great if every MAGA supporter buys them. And so that's 74, 80 million, 100 million people that will be reintroduced to money. And because that same coin comes from the United States Mint, it's coming from an authorized distributor of our nation's money. And that one coin, that if every American went out and purchased one, the United States Mint would be under extreme pressure to definitely go get the silver needed to produce those mints, which means they would have a problem doing that because they're cutting back on silver and gold now because of the demand. But it'll bring monetary policy back into the light of we need something that the people can actually hold that doesn't come strictly from DC policies in the form of paper or the Federal Reserve. But that'll never happen. So that would be the solution or an additional idea that GOP, if they really cared about the people, would put out there instead of a $500 note, because they anticipate inflation being extremely high in the next couple of coming months or probably years. Okay. So yeah, I'm everywhere today. But you know, I've got to run with the thoughts. So real quick here, this is when it gets funny. This is where it gets funny to me. I'll make this bigger so you can see what I see. Representative Paul Gosar on Wednesday finalized legislation to have the Federal Reserve print a 500 note featuring the 45th president. The bill is called Treasury Reserve Unveiling Memorable Portrait Act. The Trump Act. Treasury Reserve Unveiling Memorable Portrait. Think about how much creativity it took to put Trump and come up with those 5 words. And they spent all that mental capacity to come up with that. And they talking about having the Federal Reserve print it. Why not have the United States Mint coin it? That's not what they want, people. Anyway, it says here, listen to this. As Bidenflation continues to devalue our currency, let's start off with that. As Bidenflation continues to devalue our currency, the issue of $500 bills featuring President Trump by the Treasury offers several practical advantages. Okay, I'm gonna behave myself. The last version of a 500 featured a portrait President William McKinley and was printed in 1945. The denomination was discontinued 24 years later, according to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. And so I did videos in the past about, okay, give me 1 second here. Because I always take it as there might be somebody new here who don't know previous work I've done. But what comes to mind as I'm talking to you, smart people, give me a second here. Let's go into, let me share with you something here. This just as a little bit of a reminder for those who really want a little additional education. Because I mean, literally, this journey that I've been going on to understand, and let me go here. Where am I? This journey that I've been going on to understand things have been extremely fun. And the more I learn, the more I try to share it with you guys. And hopefully those who've been around appreciate the journey. Give me a second here. Let me, I want so a good reference, a good resource real quick would be, let me find my catalog here. Where'd I go? Let me see here. Bear with me, people. I think it'll be worth your time. Let me come back here. Let me move over one. Okay, here we go. So let me 1 second. Dang, let me bring this on the screen here. Okay, so here is a little presentation I put together a while ago. But once again, it's one of the things where it's priceless because it's timeless. And so here's the back end here. And so this picture up here to the far left with JFK, it lists all the bills that the Federal Reserve has been a part of. And where's it at? So these are little infographics so the removal of high denomination notes. I did this one in 2017. It has 28,000 views. And let me click on this so you can see what I see here. So this is the video here where all the bills and their journey and how we've been robbed all along. So it's a historical rendition of our paper currency. And so on the screen, you can see here, we have the 500, this I'm referring to now. We have the 1,000, we have the 5,000, then we have the 10,000. And so the Federal Reserve has created these notes over the last 100 years plus as a way of doing interbank value exchanges. This is before computers. And so a bank will settle up amongst another bank by sending over a couple of $10,000 bills instead of stacks and stacks of hundreds. So it was easier for the banks to do interbank settlements behind the scenes with these large notes. But these notes here rarely circulated into the population because the average Joe didn't even make $10,000 a year. So if that average person made, say 1930, 1940, the average person made $2,500, it took you 5 years to be able to actually acquire a $10,000 note. So you just wasn't doing it. But fast forward 50 years ago, a $10,000 bill, if they still had those, which if this digital revolution wasn't taken over, as far as them wanting to take us digital with CBDCs because of the introduction of Bitcoin, then we could probably be in an environment where, like all the other countries around us, how they've added zeros to their currency. And so I just love, I'm a history nut. And so in front of me here, I have a 5,000 Chileno peso note. I got an 1,000 Chileno peso note. And then I have an older Chilean peso. So my point with these currencies back in the day, before inflation hit those nations or that nation, they had the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 100. But as inflation picked up, they added a zero. Then they added another number, whatever. So we could go back into that time zone if we didn't have the digital revolution. But because that's where they want to take us, the paper's not coming back. But this video here, for those who may have not seen it, I'd advise you to take a look at it because it's about 4 minutes long. But I think I summarized everything we're experiencing quite well. And the fact that this video came up at the time it did, or this $500 note situation came up at the time it did, lets me know that, yeah, we were on this course well before Trump got in office, because this was at the beginning of his office. So what I'll do is I'll share this in the chat right now so people can grab a hold of it if you want, or just type in the removal of high denomination notes and the video should pop up. But I'll share this in the chat right now so people can go check it out. Here's the link here if you guys want to go check it out. But once again, just a little historical look at the paper currency and the notes. Okay. Now I'm off that side note. Real quick here. So I left off with them talking about Bidenomics. Let me go back here. So I left off with them talking about Bidenomics and how problematic Bidenomics was. Where I left off at. Where'd I go? Give me a second here. Just because I find it interesting. Okay. He blaming Bidenomics as a reason for devaluing the currency. And so their solution is to come up with a bigger note to commemorate Trump, as well as to help the users of it be able to have access to more purchasing power in that moment. Because another thing I was thinking about real quick. Everybody's experiencing this. I know you are, because I am. Everybody is. The cost of everything around us is going so bananas that trying to feed a family of 2, 3, 4, everybody's bill has went up damn near doubled. Or not, if not doubled, depending where you're going, definitely half. So what used to be a $70 meal for a family somewhere is now 120, 130. So that's maybe what, 50, 60% increase? But they say inflation is 3.47 or 3.24 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? People ain't no food no more. But anyway, so literally, instead of having to give out $100 bill or swipe your card, everybody swipes their card. But if you gave $100 bill and given, 20 or 30 or $40 on top of that, so a single $100 bill and a couple of 20s to hand over to the waiter for that $150 bill, and then you go give them a tip. Instead, you just pull out your $500 bill. You just pull out your $500 bill, put out your 500, put it on the table, and they give you change. Oh my goodness, these guys, they think we some fools. But the 99.99% of people who don't know automatically go with what they're told. Anyway, okay, so I mentioned about the last version, 1945. Okay, it says Gosar, a Trump ally, argued it was time to bring back the 500 bill to empower Americans with freedom. Did you just hear what I just said? He says he wants to empower Americans with freedom of more tangible options. More tangible options. And like I just run on a rant before those who may not saw me, more tangible options would be to take a United States minute coin and let people use that coin and sit on it and leave this $500 bill alone. Let the government continue to do what they do, expand the monetary base, passing bills and acts or whatever, funding Ukraine and Hamas and them other people, and let people be insured on the back end of all this. But then again, I know they can't say that. But just look at what they're trying to tell us. To empower Americans with freedom of more tangible options to save and exchange goods and services. So coming out with a $500 bill, according to this guy here, would be more empowering for Americans. He said added benefits would include giving Americans options to avoid digital banking, which faces great vulnerability to surveillance and censorship, and minting a collector's item. Okay, so minting a collector's item. You talking about silver here? Talking about gold here? Okay. Furthermore, from a collector's perspective, these 500 Trump bills will become highly sought after, generating revenue for the government through increased demand for numismatic items. So he's looking at it as a way of empowering Americans and returning some revenue based upon the premium they're going to put on the collector's ones in a glass case with Trump's signature on them. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. But the whole video today is summarized up in the fact that a $500 bill is not coming, but the idea that they're putting out there for the American peoples, and they're saying it empowers Americans to have more access to spending power right then and there in a tangible form. And then at the very end, they put, let's put it on, let's give a collector's numismatic mint of something. It should be the other way around if they wanted people to really know what's happening. And as I always said before, one thing you can count on, no matter who wins in November, you will not ever receive any intentional increase in purchasing power of our currency because the system ain't built like that. So from Woodrow Wilson, who signed his signature on the Federal Reserve Act in 1913 in December, after the 63rd Congress approved it, 19 administrations later, we are literally living on borrowed cents, not time, but cents. CENTS, cents, like pennies. And then something will happen. So that's why I'm always excited to remind people of the importance of getting your weight up. And so purchasing power matters. And so if you don't proactively take care of yours, you won't have no choice but to fall into the chaos that is underway right now. We're witnessing when we go spend places. So that's all I got for today, people. Yeah, that was a lot of energy there. So standing up today gave me a lot of energy to just let it all out. Hopefully you found value here. If you do, what I need you to do, if you're still viewing, is to hit that thumbs up button. Hit that bell notification. And for those who came in late, unsubscribe and resubscribe again. Hopefully you get notified. On Rumble, hit that check mark. And, if you guys want to be a blessing to the channel, donations are willing and wanted to be accepted. So here's the methods that you can use. Links in the description as well. That'd be a way to bless the channel. And all blessings will be utilized appropriately. All right, good people. That is all show for today. And as always, all the resources right here are available for you guys. And the most important one to be proactive, I believe, is joining the team, looking to form an army of 1,000+ people where individuals take possession of theirs and then help others do that. That's the best way. One person turns into 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. It'd be a compounding effect. So check out the RTD Silver team. Links in the description. And definitely, it all falls on you, people. Okay, with that being the case, have a blessed day. Be safe. And just, focus on what works in your life. and add to it, build on that, and let the Lord do everything else.